We are reading chapters 13 and 14 today, and our main character is India Opal, and then we also have, obviously, Winn-Dixie, the dog. We've met some new characters: Otis, Franny Block, Gertrude, Sweetie Pie, right? Whole bunch of different people. Gloria Dump, also thought to be a witch, but not a witch, right? So let's check in. Chapter 13, we're gonna go ahead and get started. Me and Winn-Dixie got into, hang on, Dom's on his way. Let me get him in here now. There he is. Hi, Dom, you ready?
I can hear you.
Perfect, you can. Okay, we're getting ready. Didn't even start. I just said like one word, so now we're ready to go. Chapter 13. Me and Winn-Dixie got into a daily routine where we would leave the trailer early in the morning and get down to Gertrude's Pets in time to hear Otis play his guitar music for the animals. Sometimes Sweetie Pie snuck in for the concert too. She sat on the floor and wrapped her arms around Winn-Dixie and rocked him back and forth like he was a big old teddy bear. And then when the music was over, she would walk around trying to pick out which pet she wanted. But she always gave up and went home because the only thing she really wanted was a dog like Winn-Dixie. After she was gone, I would sweep and clean up and even arrange some of Otis's shelves because he did not have an eye for arranging things and I did. And when I was done, Otis would write down my time in a notebook that he had marked on the outside. 1 red leather collar, 1 red leather leash. Remember, let's check back into our story and remember that the reason why Opal was working at the pet store was to purchase those 2 items, right? She wanted a leash and a collar. And she said, I'll earn the money by working at the store in order to get those things, right? Thumbs up if you remember that part, right? Awesome. Okay. After working at Gertrude's Pets, me and Winn-Dixie would go over to the Herman W. Block Memorial Library and talk to Miss Franny Block and listen to her tell us a story. But my favorite place to be that summer was in Gloria Dump's yard. And I figured it was Winn-Dixie's favorite place to be too, because when we got up to the last block before her house, Winn-Dixie would break away from my bike and start to run for all he was worth, heading for Gloria Dump's backyard and his spoonful of peanut butter. Sometimes Dunlap and Stevie Dewberry would follow me. They would holler, "There goes the preacher's daughter visiting the witch." She's not a witch, I told them. It made me mad the way they wouldn't listen to me and kept on believing whatever they wanted to believe about Gloria Dump. It's not being very kind, right? Thumbs down for that kind of behavior. One time, Stevie said to me, "My mama says you shouldn't be spending all your time cooped up in that pet shop and at the library sitting around talking with old ladies. She says you should get out in the fresh air and play with kids your own age. That's what my mama says." "Oh, lay off her," Dunlap said to Stevie. Then he turned to me. He didn't mean it. But I was already mad. I shouted at Stevie. I said, "I don't care what your mama says. She's not my mama, so she can't tell me what to do." "I'm going to tell my mama you said that," shouted Stevie, "and she'll tell your daddy, and you'll get in trouble." I swear, it about wore me out yelling at Dunlap and Stevie Dewberry every day. By the time I got to Gloria Dump's yard, I felt like a soldier who had been fighting a hard battle. Gloria would make me a peanut butter sandwich straight off, and then she would pour me a cup of coffee with half coffee and half milk, and that would refresh me. Personally, I think that Opal is too young to drink coffee. Right? Right. Grown-ups drink coffee, but guess what? Remember, this story is fiction. It's not real. It's a made-up story. And in this story, she drinks coffee. I don't think that's a good idea, but we'll move on. "Why don't you play with them boys?" Gloria asked me. "Because they're not nice," I told her. "They still think you're a witch. It doesn't matter how many times I tell them you're not." "I think they're just trying to make friends with you in a roundabout way," Gloria said. "I don't want to be their friend," I said. "It might be fun having them two boys for friends." "I'd rather talk with you," I said. "They're not nice, and they're boys." Gloria would shake her head and sigh, and then she would ask me what was going on in the world, and did I have any stories to tell her? And I sure did. So that was chapter 13. So Opal now has the leash and the collar for Winn-Dixie that she earned at the store, right? She's hanging around with Gloria Dump in the backyard, eating peanut butter sandwiches and hanging out and telling stories. Okay, does anybody have any questions so far about the book? Has to be about the book, okay? Dom.
Is the answer Winn-Dixie earned a collar and a leash?
She did. She earned the money to get the collar and the leash. What work did she do?
Opal did her homework.
Well, she swept the floor at the pet shop, right?
She swept the floor. She swept the floor.
Yep, she swept the floor. She cleaned up after the animals. All right. David, do you have a question?
Yep.
What is
I
it?
can't believe the boys are going to tell their mom on Opal. That is so not kind.
You are correct. And that's a statement, not a question. Remember, a question is asking something that you want to know an answer to,
Wow.
right? What's up, Alex?
I don't know why they told their mother I'm forgetting what to say.
I know, you have the floor. It's pretty, it's pretty special when you get to talk to all your friends like this, right?
His mom told her what to do, but that isn't her mom, that's his mom.
Yeah.
So he tattled
Mm-hmm.
on him, and that wasn't good.
That's right. We can give,
Pretty bad.
we can give,
Do that.
yep, we can give them a thumbs down for tattling. That's for sure. All right, so now we're gonna get started. David, hold your question and I'll catch you next time, okay? Is it about the story? And is it a question, not a statement, not something you're telling me? What's up?
I don't know, but I think that Opal's gonna be in big bad trouble.
Well, she didn't do anything wrong, right? Okay, so we're headed on to chapter 14. The Herman W. Block Memorial Library's air conditioning unit didn't work very good. And there was only one fan, and from the minute me and Winn-Dixie got in the library, he hogged it all. He lay right in front of it and wagged his tail and let it blow his fur all around. Some of his fur was pretty loose and blew right off him like a dandelion puff. I worried about him hogging the fan, and I worried about the fan blowing him bald. But Miss Franny said not to worry about either thing, that Winn-Dixie could hog the fan if he wanted. Of course, I have suggestions. How about Gone with the Wind? What's that about? I asked her. Why, said Miss Franny, it's a wonderful story about the Civil War. The Civil War? I asked. Don't tell me you've never heard of the Civil War. Miss Franny Block looked like she was going to faint. She waved her hands in front of her face. I know about the Civil War, I told her. That was the war between the South and the North over slavery. Yes, said Miss Franny. It was also about states' rights and money. It was a terrible war. My grandfather fought in that war, and he was just a boy. Your great-grandfather? Yes, ma'am. Litmus W. Block. Now there's a story. Winn-Dixie yawned real big and lay down on his side with a thump and a sigh. I swear he knew that phrase. Now there's a story. And he knew it meant we weren't going anywhere real soon. Go ahead and tell it to me, Miss Franny, I said, and I sat down cross-legged next to Winn-Dixie. I pushed him and tried to get him to share the fan, but he pretended he was asleep, and he wouldn't move. I was all settled in and ready for a good story when the door banged and pinch-faced Amanda Wilkinson came in. Winn-Dixie sat up and stared at her. He tried out a smile on her, but she didn't smile back, so he lay down again. I'm ready for another book, Amanda said, slamming her book down on Miss Franny's desk. Well, said Miss Franny, maybe you wouldn't mind waiting. I am telling India Opal a story about my great-grandfather. You are, of course, more than welcome to listen. It'll be just about a minute. Amanda sighed a real big dramatic sigh and stared past me. She pretended like she wasn't interested, but she was, I could tell. Come sit over here, said Miss Franny. I'll stand, thank you, said Amanda. Suit yourself, Miss Franny shrugged. Now where was I? Oh yes, Litmus. Litmus W. Block. And that is the end of chapter 14.